as long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you. I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it. And the way we ran it. Over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future.
The problem is that the majority of Americans, they don't go along with you, sweetheart. They didn't buy into that message because you were calling half the nation garbage, deplorable, trash. You were calling us Hitler. You were calling us Nazis. It's amazing to me that she has the audacity to speak this way after such a resounding loss. This is a continuation of what helped her lose. This language of division of the nation. We love the nation. They hate it. And we're going to have to fight to save democracy. We saved democracy last night. We know what you had in mind for us.
And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it.
It's your fault.
But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Well, we'll see about that. Jamie Raskin has already said that they're not going to certify the election. Now, it's a clear and present win. Trump got both the Electoral College and the popular vote. So this ploy that they're saying today that we're going to do the right thing, we're not going to question this election, we believe in it. Well, maybe that's because there's 20 million less voters in this election than there was the previous one. That's right. There were 15 less million votes. 15 million less. That was the buffer that Joe needed to beat Trump last time. 15 million. How many votes did Hillary get when she ran? About 65 million. What did Obama get when he ran in 2012? About 65 million. What did Joe get? 81 million during a pandemic when all of the paper ballots and all the mail-in ballots were going crazy. They've got to explain where that 15 to 20 million buffer of votes went. Where did they go? We had a record turnout. More people showed up for this election. For the first time in my life, I had to wait more than 30 minutes to get in to vote. I had to wait almost 2 hours. They've got to explain where those votes went, where those people disappeared to. That's what's going to be fun over the next 4 years, is digging into this. And I cannot wait to get started.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And
sometimes we just don't believe what you're saying. That's what happened in 2020. Never happened before. But we saw cheating on such a grand scale, and now they've got to explain where those 15 million votes came from. They've got to explain how they got 15 million more votes. Trump increased from what he had done in 2016 to 2020, he increased. That had never happened. Has not happened in a long time. So where'd that 15 million, where did those 15 million votes come from, and where did they go in this election? We know exactly where they went. They went right back to the graveyards, and then went right back to the illegals that those names are in the names of.
Who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah. That's what this whole thing has been about, right? Is that they say this, and they say we're going to abide by the Constitution, but this is how they do it. Their rules. We're going to abide by this law and this law and this law, but not that one, and that one. And that's why she's not going to be the president of the United States. Because of that.
And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
What fight? See, these are all empty words. What fight? She never showed up. Everything was contrived. She lied time and time and time again, and then called half the nation fascist. Oh, she didn't call the nation fascist. She called Trump a fascist. Well, if I'm supporting a fascist, birds of a feather flock together. So I'm assuming that you're calling me a fascist as well. That's why she lost. They're trying to say it's misogyny. They're trying to say it's race. It's not. She was incapable of giving a solid answer. That's why the American people, they said, fuck that bullshit. We've been dealing with a dementia patient for the last 4 years. You talking word salad is the last thing we want.
The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence.
What about for being molested by your teachers?
And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking
hypocrisy
in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor.
She just called you a fascist.
By always
she said that Hitler was incarnate in Trump.
To lift people up.
This is what they do, folks. This is the tactics of a bully. Now they're playing on the defense.
That all people
Look at us.
deserve.
We're going to take the high road. After we've been kicking people while they're down, we're going to take the high road. Shut up, bitch. I'm so glad that we will not have to hear her any longer, that this is over. She will move on from public life, and we're done with her. Joe Biden, the Biden family as well, it's gone. The Clintons are gone. The Bushes are gone. This is a new day in America. This is the new Republican Party. This is the new America. This is America where Americans came together to say, we ain't going down that path of fascism. And that's exactly what she wants to do. She told us what she was going to do.
And will put the Department of Justice of the United States back in the business of justice. we will double the Civil Rights Division and direct law enforcement to counter this extremism.
Is she talking about how she's going to make your life better? Was she talking about how she was going to improve the economy? No, she was talking about constantly how they were going to hammer down on people that dissented against her and their ideology. That's what they were doing. So it's interesting to me that we sit here less than 24 hours later and they're already back to spinning it. That they're the ones that are the victims here. That somehow they're under attack after 4 years of lawfare against Trump. The idiot continues.
Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is... I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. But please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before.
Is this where she's going to talk about being unburdened by what has been? I'll bet she's going to bring that up. She's going to have to say it at least once.
You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves.
That's a two-way street, sister.
This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged.
I agree 100%.
The sake of freedom and justice.
Yep.
And the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as
Let me jump in here real quick. What's sad that she doesn't understand is that that's what just happened. America came together in unison and said, no, we don't want you.
Prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain. And yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time. But for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light.
Yeah.
The
that's
light
what we want to do.
Of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
Did you see that look on their faces? That's the, what the fuck, we're still doing this? She's talking in word salad bullshit. This is reminiscent of
work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Well, there we have it. Let's break away here. We're going to get out of Fox News there. Folks, let's look at what's happened over the last few years, and it's important to keep in mind what we've been told and what we've been lied to about over the last several years. And all of this information is going to start coming out. And this is really why they did not want to have... it's why they didn't want to have Trump back in office, because they couldn't allow themselves to be investigated. So let's look at some of the things that are going to be opened up in the next few weeks. We're going to get to the bottom of COVID. What really happened? The mandates and all the other bullshit that happened. Was there any science there at all, or was it all about making money? We'll look into the pharmaceutical companies. Everything's going to get looked underneath the hood of. Why? Because it's all corrupt. That's what we've learned over the last 4 years. We're going to get to the bottom of those 81 million votes that Biden got. Where'd they go? Oh, they just didn't show up. It was a record turnout. You're telling me that 15 million people voted, 15 million more people voted in 2020 because they were, afraid of the fascist and the dictator, and then 4 years later they decided, he's not really that bad. That's what they want us to believe, with a record turnout, that 15 million people less. Keep in mind that the votes that Trump got in 2020 were in excess of what he got in 2016. That doesn't happen. So they had to cover for that. And to do that, it took them days to do it. You know what happened. You remember what happened. Well, that was not strange. It was, you broke laws. All of these issues are going to be looked back into by the Trump DOJ to get to the bottom of those that were both corrupt and treasonous in the last 4 years. Well, honestly, in the last 7 to 8 years. We'll get to the bottom of Russia, where that started, where the money came from, who was involved, what our FBI, what role they played in that document. The Biden corruption. Bidens have been corrupt for a long, long time. It's not just Hunter. Daddy's been doing this for a long, long time. We'll get to the bottom of it. The Hunter Biden crimes. You're seeing that Jack Smith is already, they're looking at what they're going to do now. He's going to be the president. They're going to lose their gigs. These federal judges and these federal DAs that have been working against Trump for the last several years, they're gone. That's the price of an election. As Obama said, elections have consequences. We'll get to the bottom of Hillary's crimes and what she did in 2016 and her involvement with Russia, her involvement and her 30,000 emails. We'll get to the bottom of it. Because those emails are out there. She may have destroyed what she had as her copy, but those emails are out there. We'll be getting to the bottom of that. We'll be getting to the bottom of the 51 intelligence officials who lied to us. Didn't lose their security clearances as they lied to us in 2020, just weeks before an election, saying, no, this looks like Russian disinformation to us, when they knew full and well that Hunter Biden's laptop had been captured. They did the same thing with Ashley Biden's diary. The people who found it and exposed what she had said about Daddy taking showers with her, they put those people in jail. No different than Trump or Navarro or Bannon or Ricky Vaughn. If you don't know who Ricky Vaughn was, what's his real name? Mackey. Douglas Mackey. Douglas Mackey went to jail because of a meme that he made about the 2016 election. The Biden administration put him in jail for a meme, for a joke, saying that it was election interference in 2016. Well, Jimmy Kimmel just did the exact same thing, and we don't see the Biden DOJ rushing to arrest and put Jimmy Kimmel in jail. Why is that? Because of the double standard. What this bitch just talked about in her closing remarks, in her concession speech, she flipped everything like they haven't done anything wrong and they're the ones being attacked. It's the tactic of the bully. That's what they do. They can't help themselves. The bully always does the same thing. When you finally react and you slap the bully back or you step back in the bully's face, they, what's wrong? Why are you getting so upset? I was just joking. Here's the thing, folks. We're not joking. You can keep playing those games, but those games are going to get you smacked in the face. Because at some point, those of us who don't worry about dying, those of us who we've already lost what we're going to lose, those of us who have nothing left to lose, we don't give a shit about what your feelings are. And you're going to either straighten up and fly right and join the rest of us in normality, or you'll be kicked out, excluded, canceled. Because we're tired of the crazies running the insane asylum. We're tired of the insane telling us what we have to do. Those with mental health issues continually telling us how we have to live our lives as they can't manage their own. America has said we're done. We'll get into the Ukraine war and find out where that funding went and how many millionaires we made in America by siphoning off money from the U.S. taxpayer to fund a proxy war against Russia. We had no chance of winning. Ukraine never had a chance of winning that. I thought it was interesting that the moment that they realized that Joe was losing, Ukraine fell off the radar. Now, Joe kept sending money because Zelensky has something on somebody, and that's what's going on here. There's no reason to continue spending billions of dollars for a war that is lost. And Trump's already said that he'll get it taken care of in the next few days. You watch. Now that this has been done, now that this decision has been made, I can guarantee you that man is already on the phone to Zelensky and Putin saying, okay, boys, let's get this figured out. Because we're not sending you any more money. You're done. You're cut off. Let's talk peace. That's what should have happened immediately. But no, they didn't want peace. They needed the war. That's who these people are. They don't care who dies. They don't care whose life is lost or what lives are destroyed. They don't give a shit. It's collateral damage and what they want to get done. And for that, they're the most dangerous people on the face of the earth. And it's a good thing that we've at least got a reprieve for 4 years. Now, here's the key. And this is what is incumbent upon you. You have to keep the pressure on your congressman and your senator and your local officials that we're not going back to that bullshit. We're moving to a new America where free speech reigns. And I don't have to be questioned about exercising my Second Amendment right. It's a fucking right. It's not a privilege. It's a right. I don't have to ask permission to exercise any other right. Why do I have to ask permission for that one? Simply because they're afraid of strong men and women that are able to defend themselves and saying, no, I ain't doing that shit. And if you want to try, well, you can try and make me. Good luck. They want people that want more government, want to be told what to do. Govern me harder, Daddy. Govern me harder. That's where we are in this country. 58% of Americans in the exit polls said that they believe, 58% believe that the government should play a bigger role in your daily life. 58%. We've got to change those numbers. We've got to make people realize that the government is not this entity unto itself. It's your neighbor. So when you say that the government should be more involved in your life, that means I should be more involved in your life. That your neighbor down the street should be more involved in your life. You don't want that. You want this third party out here that will do your bidding and you don't have to do the heavy lifting. That's what you've wanted. And that's why we're in the situation that we're in. Folks, it's incumbent upon you to remain vigilant and defend your freedom, defend your liberties on a daily basis. Because if you don't, we're going to get this again, where Kamala Harris or a candidate like her is going to come forward and think that she has the authority, the permission to tell us what she's going to do to us if we step out of line.
And will put the Department of Justice of the United States back in the business of justice. We will double the Civil Rights Division and direct law enforcement to counter this extremism. We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for for misinformation or cyber warfare. If you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
And for that, she's gone. She's gone. We don't have to hear her. Biden's gone. But we didn't just get rid of them. We got rid of Obama. We got rid of Clinton. We got rid of the Bushes. We got rid of the Cheneys. They showed their real colors on who they are. And not only them, but the people that surround them. The uniparty. Those that vote one way and they say they're this or they're that, but they really couldn't give two shits. They've been running our nation. And they've been playing us. They've been lying to us on a regular basis, making us believe that we've got an enemy on the other side of the ocean that we don't have, simply so that they can make more money by creating armies and building the army up. They create the enemy, the boogeyman, so that we have someone to fight, someone to fear, someone to be pissed off at. Well, they ran out of people on the planet to do that too. The planet's got to the point where everybody's pretty self-sufficient, so it's a lot harder to do than it was back in the 1950s and 1960s. So what did they do? They turned it on us. They turned it on the American people. They turned the NSA, and they turned the FBI, and they turned the CIA. They've now just recently turned the military against the American people. Folks, just because Trump won last night doesn't mean that this is over. The Biden administration still has their plan in place. They still have it to where the DOD can give soldiers to local law enforcement to do their bidding. This isn't over by a long shot. With that said, I'm out of here. We'll be back as soon as we can. Maybe even tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The Kramer Says Project goes live.